This is a demonstration of the iHawk Cricket system combined with Cricket Analyser, which is a cloud-based video replay system combined with all of the data. So we're able to combine the data that's collected from the mobile phone, which the umpire wears, with all of the video replay in the cloud, which means that anyone anywhere in the world can access it. So I have a very basic laptop, but so I'm screen recording my laptop. I'm just that's my actual laptop, and then this is back onto the Cricket Analyser. So don't need a high-spec machine. I'm getting to some of the features. So all of the data which is collected ends up in this database. We can filter on it, but all the different matches and innings number, over number, ball numbers are in here, and we can filter. I'll show you that in a second. And then for each ball, once we've clicked on the ball, we'll see the video from the umpire's perspective. And since we're able to calibrate this camera, all of the wobble that we get from the umpire moving around can be compensated for, which is why the video is in a slightly odd shape. And it gives us an unobscured 4K image of every single frame, where we can really zoom in tight to see what's going on. So things that stood out to me about this bowler was his front foot landing, which I'm imagining is going to give him ankle and possibly knee problems landing like that. We can get a sense of the grip of the ball. Just come back so you can see it before the ball track. You can see how he's holding the ball relative to the seam, fairly standard there. And then equally, whilst we're zoomed in like that, we can get a sense of how his elbow is bent pre-release and how it straightens through release. So anyone with questionable action, we can get a sense as to whether that would be legal or not. From a batting perspective, clearly it's nice to be able to get a view exactly in line where the umpire doesn't get in the way. Clearly in big stadiums, you can get a camera that looks over the head of the umpire, but more difficult at other levels of the game. This is actually me batting, and I've had an issue falling over to the offside, and so when I see this, I see my head is not really aligned with my feet. It's interesting, and potentially wished I'd seen this slightly earlier on in the year. I can play then the video through at any speed. This particular ball is relatively short, got hit away. So this is one that the umpire didn't need to go and have a look at. You know, for a run-out possibility, we actually get the full ball follow within the image. Obviously, if the umpire needs to get square on for a run-out, then typically once the ball's been hit, the video is less useful. And so ball speeds, we'll look at swing and explain that in a second, and where the ball pitched is in meters from the batsman's end stump, so the higher the number, the shorter the ball was. This game was triggered with the umpires having a Bluetooth controller in their pockets, which is why for this game the innings number, over number and ball number isn't set, because it's not integrated with the scoring system, and we're able with PCS Pro for the scorer to trigger it, in which case we know the innings number, over number and ball number at that point. I'm just going to go to a different ball now and select from the same game, and we'll have a look at the video of this one. So I'll play it through at 25% speed. Firstly, we could take the graphics off of the between the stumps to stumps graphics and the ball track graphics. It's an LBW shout, so you could use it really for umpire training. It's clearly a close one. It was given not out on the field with the fielding side. We thought it was a pretty good shout. The umpire said it had just done too much. He thought it had pitched in line. So the text of where it pitched and where it passed the stumps is the same as DRS, so it's red if it's pitched in line and red if it's hitting the stumps. And we can zoom in to see what we think. So if we wanted to evaluate umpires or look at it, we could then go back and have a look to see what we think, both using the tracking information and just having the video to get a sense as well. We can go through into the virtual world and have a look from that perspective and fly around just like in the full Hawkeye system. You can see that for this one it was incredibly close. Fly over the two different perspectives. You can see that, you know, is a good decision. It was just hitting, but very, very close indeed, and the right decision to be given not out. But if it was in the bar afterwards and you're saying, well, that should have been given, then it's quite nice to have this to show that actually the umpire was right. Virtual world's also quite nice for getting a sense of the amount that the ball swung through the air. As you can see there. So I'll come back to the video and move on to a different game now. So this was another game done with the umpires triggering the capture of the video. And initially the umpires were a little bit reluctant and were worried if it would affect their concentration, but they trigger basically when they hear the bowler running up. And so it was before they really need to be focusing on any decision or anything like that, almost set their concentration. And once they got used to it, they didn't really have any problems with it. So there's another delivery. This one swung quite a lot. A few things to say about this. This one is firstly, this game is played off 20 yards, so we had to adjust all the calibration of the system to deal with different length wickets. It's also a pink ball, and the system's now been used with red, white and pink balls. Pink ball is undoubtedly the easiest to track. I think it's the best ball visually for both the players, spectators, and for this system as well. The amount that the ball swung is probably, the numbers won't mean anything to coaches to start with, but basically the higher the number, the more it's swung. The thing about this video is, in addition to having this one camera, we're also able to, we had another camera off the pitch. So this is another mobile phone which has a dedicated lens, and so we can do split screens, or we could just see the other cameras and see all of them together. So I could zoom in as tight as I wanted to on this other camera. But obviously, if I was more interested in one than the other, I can move it around. And so if we're more interested in the batter, then this is quite a good perspective to see that other perspective. Moving on again, we're now going to move to a game where it was integrated with PCS Pro, and therefore I'm able to use my filter better to find the games that I'm interested in. So we're just going to select this one game and select a couple of bowlers that bowled in this game. Really just so the data on the left hand side is now only these two bowlers that bowled in this specific game, and I can go and click on a specific ball and go and see that. So we're back to, we only had this one camera in this game, so I'll get rid of that second view, and I can go and have a look at that specific delivery from that bowler. Once we've got the integration with the PCS Pro, it gives us more options in terms of doing various data-driven analysis. So the two bowlers that I chose, Barney Ford, Luke Griffiths, I've now got a graph of each of their deliveries with the speed, so we can see how their speeds change over a period of time. But we can then graph anything we want to. So that's bowler versus speed. I could do bowler versus length. So if I then wanted to look at the specific short balls that I bowled, that's one way of doing it. I could do really the amount that they swung. For spin bowlers, we might do deviation, get a sense of which balls have turned which way. There's really no end to how we can do the graphs to analyse whatever we want to. With any of these graphs, once you've selected whatever you want to, you can use it to drive the video. So if I select a specific ball, I've selected one that's particularly short, and then I can go and play that ball, and we know that's going to be a short ball. She's fallen over. As well as doing it from the graph, I also can bring up the pitch maps and beehives, which the Hawkeye used to showing as part of its broadcast. And so either that can get overlaid over video, or I can go into the 3D virtual world and go to sensible. You can see the beehive or the pitch map. And like the graph, I could click on one of these balls and bring up the video if I had a split screen or that side of things. So really, you can analyze it in any way you want to. Final kind of feature is, if we come back to the video side of things, is it's all very well for the coach to be able to look at all of the video, but the chances are they then want to find the key points and and give that to the player. So I can go and select one or many particular balls, select whatever I want to, and I could then go and do an export. Go and export that video to create its own MP4, which I then can send to the players or to whoever I want to get it out of the system. So we've integrated into WhatsApp, so you can just send it directly as a WhatsApp message, or you can get the MP4 and send it to the players. Maybe they've got their own video library or whatever other coaching software it needs to be integrated in with. So I'll append a couple of MP4s from an export to the end of this demonstration. You can do the export to set it up however you want to, depending on whether you're interested in the bowler or the batsman as a script. So, for example, if you're really only interested in the batsman, the export you might do digitally zoomed in to be much tighter into the batsman than if you wanted it. If you're looking at the bowler, then obviously you'd be more zoomed out. But that's all choices in the settings for doing an export. It's clearly a piece of software in development. The more people that see it from a coaching perspective or a cricket perspective in general, and feedback of how they'd like to use it, what features would be useful, then it can evolve and hopefully really help make cricket an advanced game in terms of data and video coaching.